Good morning. I'm Juliet Gustavson, your worship associate for this morning, and I am really happy to be here. The view from here is way different than when you're sitting in the seats out there, and it's lovely because you can see everyone's face. So thank you for being here this morning. One of the things that a worship associate gets to do is prepare a reflection each week and try to tie it into the theme, either loosely or very closely, depending on what experience the worship associate has had. So I had a chance this week to reflect on something that is happening to me, and I want to share it with you. The title is On the Journey from We to Me. What are you? For 58 years, I was a we. The we consisted of me and my husband, Gus, or Ern, as I called him. Significant parts of my life were we parts. Our children, our home, invitations to join us for dinner. And people knew me as a we, Juliet and Gus. So when Gus unexpectedly died on January 6, 2024, that we part of me also died. I was suddenly on what I'm calling the journey from we to me. A journey with many possible choices. I needed to determine who the new me would be. You could say something new was and is being born. So in the last year and a half, I have been deciding how I will live in my new present. Of course, I still cherish the memory of the we that was. But not letting that become an impediment to be stepping into my new role has been my challenge. That is where the personal choice to be present enters the picture. By the way, if I hadn't loved being a we, this would have been a lot easier. There are so many twists and turns on this journey. I've lost my best friend and need to make a new one with myself. We all know that friendships don't blossom overnight, so patience is the name of the game. Even after a year and a half, patience and perseverance. I'm getting to know this new me. I have to say, I like her. Not that she's replacing the we, that's not the point. But that new unfolding me is now my partner in this next chapter of my life. I am well into adjusting to what has been the most significant choice to date. Selling my house and moving from Surprise, Arizona, to live with my son and daughter-in-law, my son Leaf and my daughter-in-law Kristen. Now, if you had asked me last year if I would be moving to Oregon City, I probably would have said that I hadn't considered the possibility. But the door was actually cracked open a year or so before Ern died, when on a walk, Kristen told me that she and Leaf would welcome my coming to live with them if the circumstance ever opened up for that possibility. Unbeknownst to me, the seed was planted. So when Leaf and Kristen invited me to join them in Oregon City, I was immediately open to considering the possibility. Things moved quickly once the decision was made. A little after a year, my house was on the market and sold in 2 days. If I needed a sign that I was doing the right thing, that sale was a ringing endorsement. The other validation was for this UU, I was a rather new UU at that point, that I discovered that this Unitarian Universalist congregation at Willamette Falls is just 10 minutes from, at that point, I was saying my would-be home, new home. On February 22nd, I took the one-way flight to Portland and officially changed my dress. The choice to move has given me permission to open this new chapter with a clean slate, one in which Leif and Kristen are the only people here who've ever known me as a we. I am thankful to Siri almost every day as I venture into unfamiliar territory in the first car I ever bought. Harper and Tashi, the two dogs who share the house, are my new loves. Having company when I sit down to dinner or watch the next episode in a BritBox series has added joy and connection that is life-giving. My journey from we to me is not over, and very well never may be. But if what I has learned so far as a result of choosing to be present in my current reality is any indication, this will be a great ride.
Our reading today is Willingness by James Cruz. So often, it is willingness that shapes us. A door left ajar somewhere inside that lets in the wind, along with the sweet, fermenting scent of the coming autumn. An openness to change, and a beginner's mind that welcomes every surprise like a delivery you've been expecting your whole life. A knock at the door, and then you open your arms, accept the package that's handed to you, not knowing what it contains or even who it's from, only that it has your name written across the top. When I was a sophomore in college, I went to Scotland and England for 5 months on a study abroad trip through Lewis and Clark College. I turned 19 there. It was my first time so far away from home and for so long. And while there were some great aspects of the trip, I was lonely. And after spending Christmas with some folks from the trip, I went by myself to the Isle of Iona, an island that then was home to about 100 people and 1,000 sheep, as well as a 13th century abbey and what was then a crumbling nunnery. It was the spiritual home of the Iona community, an organization that supported closer ties between Catholics and Protestants. It's considered the birthplace of Celtic Christianity, which celebrates Christianity's relationship with the natural world. I took a ferry to the island with maybe 20 people and a small herd of sheep, and made my way to a bed and breakfast where I was the only one staying. I went to bed early on New Year's Eve, which I realized later was probably a good thing since people were up till 8 o'clock in the morning saying, "You call that a shot? Give me a half pint." The next day I woke up before the sun, which wasn't hard because it rose about 9 in the morning. I walked around the island, which was about 3 miles long and 1.5 miles wide, and I ended up at the Abbey, where I sat on a bench overlooking the sea and was overcome with this voice in my head that said, "Be still and know that I am God. Now, before anybody panics, I want you to know that my definition of God is not an old guy in the sky who decides who lives, who dies, and who wins the football game. Rather, the God of my understanding is a creative force in the universe, found in rocks and trees and water, all of which I could see from that bench. It's a force of nature that bends oh so slightly towards justice, and that which I lean into, that which inspires in me a sense of awe and wonder. And it is that force that I return to find strength and solace when the world is too much. Last week, I preached about attention and how our phones, but specifically surveillance capitalism that happens through our phones, is killing our ability to focus, and what that is doing to our ability to fight against the rising authoritarianism that's happening in the United States these days. Yesterday, I attended the No Kings rally in downtown Portland, and I will say that the joy of over 40,000 peaceful protesters just at the largest march in Portland — there were several marches all over the place, many wearing inflatable costumes or carrying signs both silly and earnest — was heartening, as was the fact that in our 3-mile march, the beginning marchers finished before the last of the original marchers left the site. It was incredible to be standing on the Morrison Bridge and seeing crowds of people walking over the Hawthorne Bridge and on Grand. It was just amazing. It was also incredible to have 1,100 people turn out in Oregon City, population 35,000. And I am so proud to hear how well represented our congregation was. I understand that over 7 million people took part in marches all over the United States and the world yesterday. That's incredible. I spoke last week about how flow and restoring our focus by doing things like reading books is helpful to building empathy as well as retraining our brains to focus better. And today I'm going to talk about some other ways in which we can do that and why it matters. I believe that it's important because when we're overwhelmed, we tend to give up. It's a very human response. No one can fix everything that's wrong right now. And unfortunately for me, the advice to just focus on one thing that's really important to you feels impossible when so very much is so very wrong. When real human beings trying to go through the immigration system, doing what they're supposed to be doing, are disappeared. When 13-year-olds are taken from school and sent to detention facilities in different states without notifying their parents. When the Justice Department is weaponized based not on guilt or innocence, but whether the president thinks you're for him or against him. And so, let's take a deep breath, because I need to take a deep breath right now, and figure out how we can hold on to our humanity in spite of it all. Not because we want to bury our heads in the sand, but because if we are overwhelmed, it's too easy to give up and not exercise the small amount of power that we do have. In preparation for this sermon, I read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, an account of his time in a concentration camp during World War II. Man's inhumanity to man was never more visible. And yet Frankl stated that humanity still existed. He wrote, "One can preserve a vestige of spiritual freedom, of independence of mind, even in such terrible conditions of psychic and physical stress. We who lived in concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the huts comforting others, men who gave away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Those men rarely survived, but they did not let their impossible circumstances mold who they were. It is this spiritual freedom to decide who you would be that cannot be taken away, that makes life purposeful and meaningful, Frankl said. Our overarching theme this month is attention and presence, and our challenge in finding it and practicing it. Next week, Sarah Forrest and Joyce Tischler will be talking about meditation and how specifically we can tap into those practices. In November, we'll be talking about mortality, how to make a life worth living, and how to live with the awareness that we will all die. The Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, of blessed memory, was perhaps the West's greatest teacher on mindfulness. He advocated a very strong ethos of be here now, treating the thing you are doing as the most important thing in the world, doing everything with intentionality and presence. When you are washing the dishes must be the most important thing in your life, he said. Just as when you are drinking tea must be the most important thing in your life. Drink your tea slowly and reverently, as if it is the axis on which the whole world revolves. Slowly, evenly, without rushing toward the future. Live in the actual moment. Only this actual moment is life. We, or at least most of us, are not Buddhist monks. But certain tenets of Buddhism are incredibly helpful as we try to live lives of focus and intentionality. The Buddhist concept of dukkha, or suffering, is the one that all others are based on, the idea that everyone experiences pain, loss, sadness in life. But it goes a bit deeper than that. It's also restlessness or boredom. At its most basic, it means life doesn't always go the way we want it to, and that makes us uncomfortable. That is going back to this lack of attention that we are all suffering. How do we come back to finding some attention in our lives, to stretching those muscles and using them again? Buddhism teaches us that everyone feels that way. It's not something that we did wrong. It's just a part of being human. Spiritualprimate.com, which is not the place that I would have necessarily gone to, but was the best that I found, says some people think Buddhism is all about being negative or focusing too much on suffering. But that's a misunderstanding. Buddhism doesn't say life is only suffering. It just points out that suffering is real and worth understanding. By being honest about dukkha, Buddhism helps you deal with it more wisely and gently. The Four Noble Truths of Buddhism are that life has suffering, yes, but that suffering comes from craving or attachment. Not just craving like wanting chocolate cake, and not just attachment to people, which I kind of think is sort of a good thing, but attachment to things always being a certain way. One of my favorite aspects of Buddhism is a profound realization that everything changes. It's okay to be attached to our children, for example. But we can't be attached to our children at ages 4 and 1, because they will grow and change. Our job is to accept them as they are at any particular point in time. To enjoy who they are now, not needing them to stay the same, not needing our relationship with them to stay the same. The third noble truth is that you can end your own suffering by letting go of craving and accepting life as it is. When you let go of a grudge or a worry, you are at peace, which is a tiny, tiny glimpse of nirvana. The fourth noble truth is that there is a path to end suffering, the Eightfold Path, My explanations are adapted from Spiritual Primates Buddhists for Beginners webpage. The first one is right view, or seeing clearly. Things are always changing, and so instead of saying, why me? Why is this different? Recognizing that pain is part of life and responding with patience rather than with anger. Number 2, right intention, thinking with kindness. Is this coming from kindness or from anger? Good-hearted goals. One of the things I loved so much about yesterday's No Kings March was their focus on nonviolence and joy. All of the inflatable costumes, all of the frog puns, with liberty and justice for all. United we stand, divided we croak. Sure, we're angry, but this protest really felt like it was coming from a place of kindness and joy. Right speech, speaking truthfully and kindly, being honest and speaking with care. Right action, doing the right thing, acting in ways that are respectful and honest and compassionate, choosing to help someone instead of hurt. Right livelihood, earning a living without harm, choosing work that doesn't hurt others or go against your values. May I recommend ministry? Right effort, putting in positive energy, making a gentle but steady effort to improve yourself, growing good habits and letting go of bad ones. I would say putting positive energy in towards making the world just a little bit better. Right mindfulness, being fully aware, paying attention to what's happening right now without judgment, noticing your thoughts and feelings and surroundings. Tasting your food, feeling your feet on the earth. Right concentration, focusing your mind, training your mind to stay focused, usually through meditation. I feel like several of these overlap really well with our Unitarian Universalist values of kindness and compassion and doing the next right thing. Next week, Sarah and Joyce are going to talk about right concentration and meditation. And so I want to focus for a moment on right mindfulness, being fully aware, because I think that's going to be the best way that we can pull ourselves out of the lack of focus that is our modern world and our phones, and focus on being here now. One of the best things about mindfulness is that you can practice it anywhere, at any time, and only for a couple of minutes, and it is still good practice. Are you doing the dishes? Just do the dishes. Focus on the feel of a plate in your hand, the water on your skin. Are you eating a snack? Really taste it. Experience the way it feels in your mouth. And I'm going to ask some of the ushers to come forward for a second, and we're going to practice this. We have grapes down here below. Come on up. You get to come up. You come up, and you come up, and you come up. Because I'm going to ask you I'm going to keep talking for a minute while you're taking the grapes so we can get through this. You don't eat them yet. Thank you. Don't eat them yet. We're going to eat them together. It's a practice. You can drop into mindfulness in line at the grocery store. Instead of pulling out your phone while you're waiting for a minute or two, try mindfulness. Take a breath. Notice the earth under your feet. Feel the warmth of the sun on your skin or the clothes on your body. What do you see or hear or smell? Only this actual moment is life, according to Thich Nhat Hanh. You, my friends, are practicing slowing down and focusing just by being here or watching on Zoom. By putting your butt in a pew and being here now, you are practicing right effort. And so here is your challenge this week. I invite you 3 times a day, every day for the next week, just to stop for a moment and be mindful. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you smell or taste? In a world of distraction, bringing ourselves back to what is right in front of us right now is an important skill. In a world where our brains are constantly craving the dopamine hit of novelty and rewards, being able to come back to just being here now matters. They were organic grapes. I washed them. I think we're getting close. Did the people back there get them? Okay, we have some more in the refrigerator. I washed them all. Grab the refrigerator. There are more people here than I was expecting today. Good for you. You can just grab the box and bring it out. Okay. Look at the grape in your hand. Feel it. What does it feel like to you? It's a rhetorical question. Just think it to yourself. Smell it. Grapes don't really smell, but maybe you can smell something. What's the temperature? Okay. Pop it in your mouth. What's the first hit of taste? What's the texture? You get that burst of sweetness or sour. We can practice this. I know you are not going to eat every grape like this, but maybe the first 3 sips of coffee, maybe 1 bite of good chocolate, maybe standing outside of your car while you're waiting to pick up your kid. Just a couple of minutes to sink into being here now. Practice it. It's a good skill to build, especially right now, friends. The world is a scary place right now. Many of us would not have chosen this. But it is willingness that shapes us. Willingness to show up to the changes that we wouldn't have chosen and say, hey, I am here now. What can I do to help? May it ever be so. Blessed be, and amen.